one of the things that I always, when I'm talking to folks, I remind them that number one, whether you're VPP or not, that self-evaluation is a tremendous tool to just measure your program. But like most of us, what happens if we measure ourselves? I don't know about you, but when I walk in the bathroom in the morning and look in the mirror, I go, man, you look good. Every day, it never fails. Just to remind you, though, I don't turn the light on before I do that. I wait. But isn't that what most of us do when we're habitually in our operations, and as we move through that operation, as our folks move through it, we've become used to what we're seeing every day, right? And we tend to exaggerate how well we're doing. And often we can find the employees are more honest than we are. But after a while, they're used to seeing things. So whenever these tours come that we do, we had a tour through Purdy here not long ago, and a couple of the folks from the SHARP Alliance, non-VPP sites walking through with us, saw a couple of things and said, hey, how come that? Oh, that's good. So I made a note. Somebody else saw something else and I made a note, and we fixed it. But I've been walking by it for weeks. So having extra eyes, and those SGEs, as they walk through, they have been working with OSHA, so they are going to assess where you are just like OSHA folks might do it, okay? And you don't have any of that pressure with having OSHA leaning over your shoulder, right? They're going to give you some good, honest advice. But it's a real experience, and then one of the things I want to tell you is a story of how I became involved with VPP. I mean, I'd heard of it. I was a manager for the Industries for the Blind back in my home state of Virginia, and I was really concerned because I had 125 blind people and I had a 5-story building, and really kind of concerned me is how am I going to get 125 blind people out of a building that's 5 stories tall? And so I had somebody from the OSHA Consulting Group that came over, and they mentioned VPP, and we resolved that issue, but I forgot all about it. Moved to Mississippi, went to work for Olive Branch, a Sherwin-Williams site there, and while I was there, we had 17 recordables with 150 people on the workforce, and those recordables all happened between January and July. And I'm not talking about, a couple stitches here, a couple stitches there. We're talking about broken arms, 8 stitches, concussion, and the last straw was a guy who pulled the rack down in our distribution center, and this is a paint manufacturing operation, so we're talking pallets of 5 gallons and 1 gallon, 3,000 and 4,000 pounds per pallet, all came tumbling down right on top of him. And the only thing that saved his life was the cage on the stand-up forklift that diverted all of that material into his legs. And from here down, it was not pretty. It was very, very bad. We had 327 lost work days. That's pretty ugly, isn't it? It was not a nice year. And I actually was hired by the man who's now president of the global supply chain for Sherwin-Williams. And he was just at our plant December the 5th, and we were reminiscing about all the fun we had that year. Just the previous year, we had blown the back end off the building and burned 2 employees. It was a good year for us. We only had 9 recordables that year. So it was a really good year, and then we turned around and had this. And so can you imagine what productivity was like at that plant? And we had people calling in because they were scared to come to work. And so he said, what kind of trust have we got? He pulled all of us together and said, who trusts us? We've had all these recordables, and what have we really done to protect the employees? We keep doing this and doing that in response. We're reactive. We need to find a way to be proactive and resolve what's going on. And we need to create trust because there really wasn't any. And this is not a union site. This was, just us. So we began with trying to communicate. We called everybody together, just shut the plant down, called all shifts in. And he said, guys, what do we need to do? And the response, of course, make us safe. Help us be safe. Protect us. We don't know what to do, and we don't have the money control to make anything happen. Help us. And the decision was made, of course, that, hey, let me bring a team in and let me share with you what VPP is about. So we brought a team in from another Sherwin-Williams plant. It was the first paint plant in the country to ever make VPP. It was a union site. This plant manager had a lot of nerve. Inviting union people into a non-union site. And those folks came in and they shared with us the change that it had made at their operation, that the union had bought in, opposing the national people in the union who didn't want them to do it. And they said, no, this is good. We're going to do this. So they came in and they shared it with us. And our team said, let's do this. We got to create communication, and that's the important thing. And it's hard to sustain that. You know, the plant that I'm at right now, we've had 5 managers, 3 since I've been there in 2014. You know, we got a staff that's constantly rolling. We are an aging workforce. We've had 8 retirements of senior people that we count on this year. It's, you know, and all of you face that, right? You got that struggle too. This is not an easy war to battle. I'm one of those old gray hairs that Mark was referring to a little bit ago, and you know, my time is short. I'm going out here before too long. What do you do to make sure that the person that comes in behind you is not as good as you are, but is better? That learns from your mistakes and doesn't make the same ones. I have made a couple along the way. Thought I made a mistake once, but I was wrong, right? No, I've made a lot of them along the way. So communication, everybody needs to agree there's a problem. And sometimes that's hard to do. People think, oh, everything's good, we got it going. And then you got to collaborate. And what's really critical is it can't just be management saying this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it. It's, guys, you're out there, you're at risk. What's going to make you comfortable and safe so that you can do your job and go home to your family? What is it going to take? What can we do to make that happen? And sometimes it does cost a few dollars. Sometimes it really doesn't cost anything but a little time. I find really that moving to VPP really wasn't near as expensive as some people like to say it was. It really wasn't money. It was just time. It was taking people off the floor, even if you're a little behind in production, and not counseling those safety meetings. You do them anyway. You don't postpone them. It was making that commitment to say, yeah, you know, we're really busy. We got a lot going on. Stuff is broken down, but I'm going to allow you to go to that meeting. We need to make that happen. We got that project. We got to make that happen. It's making those sacrifices. In fact, I can tell you that at the end of the year 2000, we had 3 recordables, 27 lost work days. Pretty big turnaround. We still weren't VPP, but we had put in an application. We'd focused the team and we'd gone to work to make something happen. In the year 2001, we had 0 recordables, no lost work time. We were approved for VPP. Obviously, our rates caused it to be a merit approval, but at the end of 2001, those rates came in line quickly. And we were approved, and we moved on from there to become the division site of the year, corporate site of the year 3 times, division site 4 times. It was a huge, significant turnaround, and we took teams all over the country to introduce Sherwin-Williams. We were the second VPP site, Sherwin-Williams. Within 5 years, there were 26 sites, and we'd been to every one of them. Our team went out and shared what was happening. Obviously, there was a little resentment. You know how it is. You need to go see those folks over there, and I'm tired of hearing about them. But it works. See, whether by committee or general agreement, you got to come together, got to put your heads together, and you got to decide, here's the path. We're going to take the path because we agree this might work. And every once in a while, you do run into the ditch, right? Because we did end up having a few recordables once in a while. You got to also connect. You got to identify mentors. This didn't happen because we did it by ourselves. We brought in another site. We went to visit other sites that had nothing to do with our business. We brought in people from our own corporation that were really good at auditing, that were really good at directing and talking to us. I get to work with a great regional director who's been involved in this process since I got to Sherwin-Williams, and I've been working with him since I came on board and continue to work with him today. And we have those people that can help us every year, even though we are a star site in Portland. Every year, there's an audit from an outside team within our company. And they're harder than anybody from OSHA I've ever had to deal with. I hate when they come in. They really are. They're tough. So we need to connect and identify those consultants, those mentors, those people that can help us. And you don't have to become a VPP site if you don't choose to, but it's still a matter of these things are what it takes. A single-minded focus on protecting folks. Now, I'm a believer in VPP, and I try to sell it to anybody. Sometimes people not comfortable with it. I actually was asked to speak at a group in Portland, and I was talking about it, and right before we went on stage, and it was a panel discussion, and one of the guys looked at me and said, "I don't believe in VPP." I said, "Well, everybody's allowed their opinion. Why don't you believe in it?" "Well, it didn't work." I said, "It didn't work where?" He said, "It didn't work where I was." I said, "Well, that doesn't take away the importance and the value of a system just because it didn't work where you were. There could be a lot of reasons." "Well, I didn't want to do it to start with." I said, "That could be the first reason." Needless to say, I never heard from him again, but that's okay. When you get to my age, you really don't care whether they like you or not. I earned these gray hairs the hard way. I'm going to keep them. You need to also collect data and information, making sure that you're verifying the impact you want to have. What is it you want to change? Is it your incident investigation? Is it your trending? What are we really trying to change? And the number one thing that we need to change is we need to change that level of how people think about safety. I like to tell people, I hate this idea. I hate sales. But that's really all I am. I'm a salesperson. I'm simply there to sell the importance of why you need to be safe on the job. Because I got 300 people where I work. I got 3 shifts. I cannot be there 24 hours a day. I cannot be safe, nor can I keep them safe. I have to sell the idea to them that they need to look out for others, and they need to look out for themselves. So we're really salespeople and record keepers. As EHS professionals, that's pretty much what we do. And then we listen to the people, and we take what they tell us, and we try to create a way to make that happen. But we're really there to sell how important it is, and we got to be flexible. You got to be able to move and shift gears and do something different if things aren't working. But you got to collect information. I talked to one of my former supervisors last week, and I always remember the one thing he taught me. You measure what you treasure. You treasure your people, then you measure where they're performing, particularly when it comes to their safety. You measure what you treasure. And I've never forgotten those words. He said them again when we were on the phone. So you need to make sure that the process is effective, whatever you're doing. And one of the ways that I truly believe it's important to make sure that process works is you can look at it, you can audit, you can measure it on your own, but remember, we always generally look at things better than they are. Get outside eyes to look. One of the things with the tours that Shauna's doing and the thing that really helps in Region 1 is we have people from Lamb Research and Coca-Cola who comes by the site, and the first thing we try to tell them, we go on the floor, if you see something that you don't think is right, tell us. If you got a question, ask it, because we're pretty good, but we're not perfect. And you're here because We want you to help us spot the imperfections. And it's really important to collect that information, then do something. And then being very clear. Everybody has to know what the goal is. Is our goal really to keep people safe? Or is it to be more productive? Because I can assure you, in my experience, working through 4 VPP sites in Sherwin-Williams, that if you want to sell it to people because it's going to help them make more product, they don't care. You can stand in your kickoff meeting and you can talk about how productive you were yesterday, how good the quality is, how great the service is, or you can fuss at them. You know, we didn't produce near as much as we should have, Tim, and the quality's down low, and they don't care because you know what? They're going to go home safe. It doesn't matter whether they produce anything that day, right? But when somebody gets hurt, you ever had any volunteers to get hurt? You know, when I got to the plant, they were setting a goal of only having 2 recordables per year. So the first kickoff meeting for starting the year, I shot the slide up on the screen and I said, we're scheduling to have 2 recordables this year. Can I have some volunteers? You know I didn't get one. I don't know what was wrong with those people. So we no longer set a goal of having any recordables. Our goal is always 0. And a lot of companies do that, you know. So be clear. What is the goal? How are we doing against our goal? One of the things I found, I told you about Olive Branch and what we found with safety. We didn't become the division site, the corporate site of the year because we were the safest site in the company. Becoming the safest site in the company, we became the most productive with the best service and the top quality. Because suddenly our people were comfortable. It created a new culture, and I can assure you that culture, you know, it did a little of that sine wave every once in a while. You get a few new people in, somebody retired, all of a sudden you'd see things kind of slipping away. So you really got to pay attention. But you got to be clear. What's the goal? And you got to communicate it to the people. You know, we're challenged with 17 languages at our operation. We have about 60% of our people that can understand little. So when you say good morning to them, you're really lucky if they go, oh yeah, hi. They really don't understand English, a lot of them. So training is a challenge. But you have to make sure that you're showing them those goals, and you got to find ways to make sure those communications are clear. So there's all kinds of barriers. I love this. I heard Garrison speak, Garrison Wynn, safety speaker, and I love this. He said, we will forsake doing what's right to do what's convenient. Okay? We will abandon doing what's right for what is convenient. We have K people, you know those, right? Citizens Against Virtually Everything. Yeah. They carry a lot of influence. You ever notice that? Whenever you start something, have a meeting, whenever you see a little group gathered on the floor and you slip around where you can hear them, they're howling, aren't they? They're letting everybody know. So you got to watch and make sure what comes out of your mouth creates the culture around you. It's not your intelligence, it's not your ability, it's how you treat people. Do you value people? I don't say this to be self-depreciating, but please understand, I am not the most intelligent person in the world. I graduated 327th in a class of 425 in college. So no, I'm not a whiz, I'm not highly intelligent. They didn't have safety when I went to college, okay? There's a lot of skills that I just really don't have and wish I did. But there's one skill that I have developed. I believe I had it to begin. I really care about people. I really like people, for the most part. Every once in a while, there's those that you don't like quite as much, but I really, and even them, I care. And one of the phrases I use is, I care enough about you that I'd rather see you on the street with all 10 fingers than working here tomorrow with only 9. I hope you understand that that's a statement of how much I care about you. I'd rather see you out there, no job, whole and healthy, than in here because you don't care to look after yourself or your coworkers. That's just not good to me. And that's an expression of how much I care about everybody that works there. So Convenience. We will abandon to do what's right, to do what's convenient. Our job is to help make the things which are convenient the right thing to do. That's a tough job, isn't it? All right. Being a real leader means people follow you because they want to, not because they have to. So in our positions, whatever they might be, whether you are on the floor, a clerk, an administrator, an EHS professional, or the plant manager, ops man, whatever your title, that doesn't make you a leader. What makes us a leader? When people follow us because they want to. And then we help develop new leaders.